Today's soup recipes are so full of nutrients, your body won't know what to do with it all. I often find soups can be very one-dimensional, but today I'll show you how to build flavor and texture with two delicious recipes. One's going to be a chunky soup, and then we're going to do a smooth soup as well. First, a green minestrone with miso cashew cream and a pistachio pesto, and then a smooth curried carrot and lentil soup with onion bhaji crisps and a vibrant herby yogurt. If you're new here, my name is George and I post weekly plant-based cooking videos, so be sure to stick around and let's get into the cooking. So I've got a heavy base pan that has been preheating for a good few minutes now, and we're going in with a good couple of tablespoons of olive oil. You can cook this oil-free if you want to as well. Just use some veggie stock. The onion we're just going to finely chop. Then go in with your onion. And the celery I'm going to cut into nice small cubes. Just a fine dice. And to get those fine cubes, I first cut it into strips. Roughly 1 centimeter thick, maybe a little bit less. And then bunch it together, tuck your fingers in, and just rock your knife through. The diced celery. The first courgette we're going to grate, and this is going to be cooked down into the soup and become lovely and soft and sweet. And a generous pinch of salt to help it sweat down and release its moisture. I'm also going to add these finely chopped basil stalks. Already you can see why this is called a green minestrone. Using a heavy base saucepan means you get really nice even cooking. You don't get random parts of the pan which are a bit thinner and sort of burn quicker. So definitely invest in a good stainless steel heavy base saucepan if you can. This is a new addition to the kitchen and I'm very much enjoying it. The beautiful green colors really coming out now. This is looking really nice now. The grated courgette is basically melting into it and getting really lovely and soft. Celery and onion as well are starting to soften. I'm going to add the zest of 1 lemon now. Get a good grip on the lemon, and then you can move the zester around the lemon, rotating the lemon with your hand. And this is going to infuse into this soup and add a lovely bright citrusy note. Also going to zest in some garlic now. Zesting it breaks down a lot of its fibers and gives it a lovely pungent flavor, compared to if you were to slice it, which would be more of a mellow garlicky flavor. So you can decide what you want from this soup. You could also add the garlic later in the process for a stronger flavor. Since I'm adding 3 fairly large cloves, I'm going to add them all in now. You can see the celery and the courgette is starting to stick to the pan, which means we've extracted most of the moisture now. Just cook out the lemon and the garlic for a minute or two. I'm not adding loads of herbs to the base of the soup since we've got that really herby pesto going on top. And then the second courgette I'm going to dice into nice small cubes. Next to go in is our diced courgette, which will keep sort of fresh and crunchy and not cook them too much. Then our vegetable stock. Once your soup comes to a simmer, we're going to add in our orzo. If you don't want to use orzo, you could add some diced potato, or you could use some lentil-based pasta. I'm also going to add in some cannellini beans with the sort of starchy liquid, and that's going to help thicken the soup, as well as the orzo, of course. And then just bring that back to a simmer, and we'll cook it for around 8 minutes before we add in even more greens. You'll want to give it a stir every now and again just to ensure that the orzo isn't sticking to the bottom of the pan. I've made a free soup PDF guide to give you inspiration for your next soup, whichever vegetables or store cupboard ingredients that you have on hand. Just scan this QR code and become a free member on my Patreon page, and you can download it for free. Okay, really quick cashew cream. I've got some cashews here which have been soaking for about half an hour in boiling water, straight into the blender. Then I'm going in with salty and umami white miso. This soup is quite fresh and vibrant, so making this more savory cashew cream is a really nice contrast to that. Some nutritional yeast for more sort of savory nuttiness. Some lemon juice, not too much though, just to balance out the flavors. There's plenty of lemon juice in the pesto and the main dish, so we don't need to worry too much. Good grating of black pepper. I want this really lovely and savory. Probably going in with nearly maybe 1/4, 1/3 of a teaspoon. I'm not going to add any salt as we've got the miso in there. And there you have a lovely and smooth, savory cashew cream. I basically always have some cashew cream in the fridge, just ready to be used, whether that's for a dressing or in a pasta sauce. It's always really handy to have around. This has been bubbling away for around 8 minutes now, and I'm going to add in some shredded cavolo nero. Well, maybe not shredded, just sort of torn into smaller bits for even more green goodness. And we'll cook this now for another 5 minutes or so. I did give it a little taste, and I think it needs a little pinch of salt as well. Even with the veggie stock cube, I think it was a low salt one. What's nice is the little courgette cubes will still have a slight bite in them by the time this is cooked. And then the grated courgette just gets lovely and sweet and helps thicken the soup. Before I was done adding greens, well, guess what? I've got some frozen spinach to add as well. I was going to add frozen peas, but my partner is not a huge fan of them. And we definitely need to add a good crack of black pepper. You could add a little nutmeg as well, that could be nice. You get a good wrist workout using a pepper grinder. I'm gonna switch the heat off now because I don't want the orzo to overcook. I still want it to be slightly al dente. Also going to add the juice of half a lemon, about 2.5 tablespoons, I'd say. And there you have the greenest minestrone you'll ever see. Incredibly nutritious. And you're probably thinking that is going to taste way too healthy. Because we sweated down those initial ingredients, that adds a lovely bit of sweetness. And then you've got the orzo for a bit of indulgence. And of course, we're finishing off with that cashew cream and vibrant pistachio, basil, and parsley pesto. While that cooks, let's make the pistachio, basil, and parsley pesto. Of course, starting with the pistachios, which I've spent a good 5 to 10 minutes shelling, but it's definitely worth it. Then add your fresh herbs, followed by the nutritional yeast for the parmesan replacement, a little lemon juice for acidity, and of course, salt and pepper. You could do this in a pestle and mortar, but when you're a bit short on time, the food processor is the way to go. Blend and gradually add in your olive oil. You can choose whether you want it thick or looser, and you can also add a splash of water to make it a little less oily if you want. I love how the pistachios make it extra green and add a lovely bit of crunch. Let's get a nice dollop of that cashew cream in the middle. And then we'll just dot this beautiful pesto around the soup. Definitely be generous with the pesto, just adds a really nice bit of indulgence into a very healthy soup. Ooh, that is so good. Next level. This is probably one of my favorite soups. It's hard to believe that a soup with so many greens in can taste this good. It doesn't taste like earthy or grassy at all. It just tastes fresh, vibrant, and absolutely delicious. Cooking down the onion, the celery, and the grated courgette at the beginning adds a lovely sweetness to this soup. You've then got the cashew cream that adds indulgence. The pesto as well also adds a really nice sort of complex flavor. It's slightly crunchy from the pistachio nuts as well. Really good. The cube courgette, that adds little fresh bursts of goodness. And then you've got some body to the soup coming from the butter beans and the orzo. Definitely give this one a go. I'm getting extremely hot now holding this hot bowl of soup, so let's end up this video. So I've just got this pan preheating over a medium heat, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil, maybe more like 2 tablespoons. The carrot as well, we can cut into fairly chunky pieces. As long as you're not in a rush for this soup to cook, then don't worry about cutting these carrots too small. And definitely leave the skin on, as that is where a lot of the nutrients is, and indeed the flavor. This soup's really easy. You basically just add all your veg to the pan. So start with your carrot. The onion we can cut up very roughly, as this is a blended soup. So if anything, bigger pieces are less likely to burn and more likely to get lovely and caramelized when we fry them. And the ginger I'm just going to slice, once again leaving the skin on. No need to waste your time peeling it. Ginger and garlic. Garlic I'm just leaving whole, as this is a blended soup, so that works perfectly. Then add a good pinch of salt, maybe 2 pinches to draw out the moisture. And we'll just let all these veggies cook down for around 10 minutes, maybe getting a little bit of color on them, but not too much. Okay, it's been about 6 minutes and this is starting to get a nice bit of color on it. And color is of course flavor. We're now going to add in a few whole spices. We're going for a good amount of coriander seeds for that lovely citrusy flavour, cumin seeds, fennel seeds, and mustard seeds. I'm adding them in now before the vegetable stock so that they can get a little bit toasted and release their essential oils. I'm also adding some ground spices, starting with some turmeric and some asafoetida, which has a sort of oniony, garlicky flavour, and it's great for digestion. The ground spices, you only want to toast them up for around 30 seconds, as they can burn quite quickly if you're not careful. It smells absolutely beautiful. So we'll go in with our vegetable stock now. I'm also adding in some red lentils to get some protein in. I find if I don't add some lentils, tofu, or beans to a soup, then I get hungry soon after eating it, which is not really ideal. I'm also going to add some of this creamed coconut, but you can leave it out, or you could add coconut cream, cashew cream, soy cream, it's up to you. And we'll bring this to a simmer now. The soup is bubbling away nicely now, so I'm going to turn down the heat and we'll let this cook until the lentils and the carrots are soft. And I always like to put a lid on top, just so that you don't have to use as much gas or electricity. For the crispy onion bhaji topping, we're going to start by thinly slicing the onions. I like to keep the onion whole so you get these really nice rings of onion, which go lovely and crispy in your bhaji. Add your onion to a bowl and then you'll just separate all the rings of the onion. You can now season the onion with your salty tears, or you can add a pinch of salt. It's up to you. Ideally, you'd use some gram flour, but I don't have any, so I'm going to use a mix of plain flour and some corn flour to help it get nice and crispy. Traditionally though, it is gram flour or chickpea flour. I'm then going to add some bicarbonate of soda. This will help them stay lovely and light and crispy. For the seasonings, I'm going to use a little bit of a shortcut and add some curry powder, then some additional cumin because I just love the sort of earthy sweetness it has. Fenugreek powder, this is sort of bitter and sweet at the same time, but has a lovely sort of maple roasted flavour. And a touch of turmeric for that lovely golden colour and sort of fruitiness almost. Also a good grating of black pepper. And if you don't find coriander or cilantro soapy, then we'll just add a little handful of that as well, just finely chopped. And then final ingredient is a tablespoon of water. And then we'll just give it a good mix. We'll probably need more water. We just want it to sort of bind together and be sort of thick and shaggy, but not too wet. As you massage the onions, they'll start to release their moisture as well. I tend to use about 2 to 3 tablespoons. So we'll just add another tablespoon here. So this is the sort of consistency that you're looking for. It's sort of thick and sticky, but it's not like dripping wet. I'm going to cook this in my air fryer, but you're welcome to do this on a baking tray. I'd recommend lining it with parchment paper though, if you do. We're just going to spread out this mix. I have lightly oiled the air fryer as well. We want to get it nice and thin. We're not trying to make sort of individual bhajis. We're just going to make a big layer and then we're going to crumble it on top of the soup. It'll end up being about 1 centimetre thick. And then I'll just give it a light spray of olive oil on top as well. This will help them get extra crispy, and compared to deep frying, it's still a lot less oil. And there you have the most crispy, fragrant, and Moorish topping for a soup. At around 12 minutes into the cooking, I used a wooden spoon to break up the mix into little pieces so that it gets extra crispy. And you want it this lovely dark golden brown colour to ensure it's got a lovely crunch. So the carrots and lentils are nice and soft now, so all we need to do is blend it until beautifully smooth. And no doubt turn the blender a lovely vibrant orange colour. Such a lovely colour and perfectly silky smooth. It does need a touch of seasoning though, so I'm going to add some lemon juice for acidity and some black pepper. And just a small pinch of salt. And that is ready to serve. This is going to be a really quick and simple coriander yogurt. You can use any herb that you like, whether that's parsley, chives, mint would be really nice with this dish. I've got soy yogurt in here and I'm going to add in some coriander. then some lime juice for even more freshness and that lovely flavour, of course. And that's pretty much it, just a bit of pepper and salt and we're good to go. I quite like to add an ice cube, which helps prevent the heat of the blender from discolouring this lovely green sauce. And there you have a beautiful, fresh and vibrant herby sauce to go on this soup, which will add a nice contrast to the spicy soup. Now, I'm not usually a smooth soup kind of person, but this one is definitely an exception. It is absolutely delicious. The fragrant spices go perfectly with those sweet carrots, and then the crispy onion bhaji, of course, kind of making it not a completely smooth soup, but they are definitely worth making just for adding a really nice crunch and savory goodness on top. And then finish it off with a lovely, vibrant coriander yogurt. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. For some delicious stew recipes, check out this video.